everyone. I'm inspired to make this video today, and when I pushed the record button, I didn't know what I was going to speak about, and I think I do right now. I'm going to read to you the 5 most frequently asked questions. I actually don't know if anyone's ever asked me this question, but they're questions that I feel, if not asked, they're pointing to underlying assumptions and thoughts, things that people kind of hold in their minds. So these are some FAQs that are in the collective. Question 1. How do I know the right path? There are so many options, so many choices to choose from, and sometimes I just don't know how to discern which way to go. That's a great question. I ask that question a lot, actually. And let me tune in and see what comes. I think the deeper teaching of life is always about this present moment, and that there's always a tendency to look for security in a mental construct that says, this is my direction, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing with life. And I've had this experience so often where I have a dream and I'm told something about my life, and then I create an expectation around it, and I'm always at some point disillusioned by my expectations. And in discovering the way things actually are. And I find for everyone, even those that are really, really intuitive, even those who are awakened, I had never met anyone whose life goes the way they thought it would. As much insight or guidance and dreams and intuitions and directions and counsel that we might receive, there's always this experience of life not being what we thought it would be. So coming back to the idea of this present moment, I think what brings us into this present moment is sincerity, being honest with ourselves. And I think so often honesty is really about being honest with, I don't know. Like, really, I don't know. To actually notice that the foundation of our movement is really coming from a belief, something that we're convincing ourselves to be true, something we're hoping would be true. It might be a very deeply rooted conviction, but if we get quiet with it, we might often notice that there's a subtle expectation that if I do this, and that, this will happen. That we're living life on this premise that I'm going to live this identity out and follow these actions because I'm expecting that this thing that I really believe I should get or will get is going to happen in this way. And then we do all the right things. We follow all the steps. We do exactly what we thought we should do. We do exactly what we've been told to do. And things aren't the way we thought they would be. At all. The relationship didn't work out. We don't have the money we need. Our health isn't what we wanted it to be. Our expectations of every regard fall short of what actually happened. And so coming back to that question, with all the choices and options, I'm reading my hand, by the way, with all the choices and options out there, how do I discern which way to go? What is my path? I don't know. I have no clue. No clue. I have no clue, but I know that the notion of a path is a notion. It's all a story. The world we live is so often just a projection of mental ideas and constructs and just things that we've put out there. And I think I'll say this. It's a little bit off the maps and it's a little bit hard to really get, because what I'm going to say, I have to apply it. I can't just say it, and it has to be applied to be understood. But there are 2 ways of living, really, truly. There's a way of living where, and this is the way most people live, where there's a set of criteria, a map, a sense of direction. Even if we're working with oracles, even if we're working with teachers, even if we're working within a very solid spiritual system and we're asking something that we respect to give us the guidance, within this paradigm, within this way, moving on a basis of knowledge, moving from a foundation of this is what I'm doing and this is what I expect will happen. That's the essence of that way. Most of us live there. The other way is realizing that when we're not seeking a context, when we're not seeking something to give our minds a security to hold on to, what happens? Meaning when we're actually free to live unconditionally, to make actions not because of a desired expectation or result, but really for its own sake. Or even to take actions with a desired expectation, but to be completely honest about that. In a sense, honesty about our expectations is kind of a liberation from them. Because we're not really bound up by that. We're not unconsciously intertwined with the expectations. And what I'm finding is no one in the world can really give permission to, like, it would be impossible, because of the very nature of this way of living, it would be absolutely impossible for, anything that we turn to say, don't turn to anything. Because it's once we're turning to it, we're turning to it. So wherever we look for answers is where life has to give it to us. But when we stop looking for answers, this field opens up that I think creates a possibility for magic that can only happen when there's a relinquishing of the need for context. And I think that's also what forgiveness is about. Okay. Well, this feels like a good little short video. We're going to end that, and maybe I'll come back later with a different question.